the chosen one! I loved you!
Back in 2015, the director of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Kenji Saito, had put out a tweet stating simply that he would like to make a video game based on either of the Kill la Kill or Berserk anime. Immediately, people were ecstatic, just at the mere thought of such a thing happening. I mean, just by taking a quick look at the over-the-top, fast-paced, and frankly insane action in Revengeance, it looks like something that would translate beautifully to the world of Kill la Kill. And then, these feelings of hype and excitement grew stronger. In a 2016 interview between Polygon and Kenji Saito, they asked him specifically how he would envision a Kill la Kill video game to look, and how it would work, and what we as players could expect if Platinum Games took on the task of making it. He sounded like someone who definitely understood the source material and would know how it would need to be worked with in order to give a properly representing product. Then, in 2018, we finally got our announcement that Kill la Kill is getting a video game officially in 2019, and is going to be released by none other than Arc System Works. So, now we knew that it was going to end up being a fighting game. Now, if you were someone who was into fighting games, this may have been big for you. After all, Arc System Works is behind things like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, which are both two huge fighting game series. Others, however, may have been more disappointed that we weren't going to get our flashy Platinum treatment. But hey, fighting games can most definitely be over the top and flashy too, right? So this could easily still go well. Unfortunately, this video is about why I'd love to want to recommend Kill la Kill IF. So one of the big things being advertised in IF was the story mode. It was advertised as a completely new story by the original Kill la Kill scriptwriter. Not only that, but it was also being called a what-if story that was also canonical. That last bit was intriguingly confusing, and the result was severely lackluster. To sum up the key points, the entire story of the game takes place in an alternate reality that Junketsu, Satsuki's outfit, has trapped Satsuki inside of, through an incredibly, and not in a good way, rushed story that the characters explain as time feeling like it's compressed. She fights her way through a very limited roster of characters, and then ends with Satsuki breaking free after fighting a frankly very off-putting looking and lackluster boss battle, at which point everyone completely forgets the events that transpired. So, there are a few things to go over here. Firstly, I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out to both call the story canonical, and then at the end just brush it off as, well yeah, it happened, it just had no bearing on the plot, nobody remembers it, and knowing this story really doesn't give any new information or insight. Like, okay, yeah, technically I guess this means that it happened, but does it even matter? The other issue that befalls this meaningless story is that it falls into a combination of the amount of cutscenes absolutely dwarf the amount of gameplay. Huh, maybe it is a bit like Metal Gear. And even as such, the time it takes to go through it all is unbelievably short. Start to end, Satsuki's story takes roughly 1.5 hours to get through. Ryuko's takes a little bit longer, but still less than 2 hours. That is not a lot of story for a game that highlights that as one of its big points, especially if you bought it at $60 on release. But the appeal of a fighting game isn't its story, it's the fighting, right? So the actual core fighting of the game is the strongest point, and I do enjoy it. One reason being that it actually improved on the gimmicky rock, paper, scissors mechanic that I hated from another game, and did something cool with it. I'm not even a fighting game enthusiast, but the idea of your combo being broken because random felt super bad. IF took this idea into their Bloody Valor system. This was an optional thing that you could trigger, and each of your 3 choices would give you something if you won: additional damage, a health boost, or an increase to your special meter. It added an extra layer of strategy onto, what does my opponent think I want? Do I think my opponent knows what I think they know what I want? Doing this, however, used the same resources as your super attacks and your combo breaker, which is cool resource management in a fighting game. Additionally, while all characters behave similarly, most bring their own unique mechanic or gimmick to their loadout that sets them aside, making characters mostly easy to pick up after playing another and just taking time to master their own specific style. The downside to this, though, is that while the characters in combat themselves are all really well done, there is an incredibly small number of them. At this time, there are 12 playable characters, including alternate versions of both Ryuko and Satsuki. So 10 different characters, 12 to choose from. Either playing casually or playing online, that lack of variety gets very stale very fast. Again, for a game that had cost $60. And this problem was exacerbated by the game's release, which I'll hit on soon. Gameplay-wise, the only big area I feel it faltered in is one that I've seen several arena fighters falter in, but that doesn't excuse it. The arenas were boring. Each arena was just a new flat circle or square with some different paint slapped on it. It's a 3D arena, you could be doing so much more with the environment, whether it's having it be destructible or, god, just varied. Don't just have us fight on the stage at the academy, have the stage be in the center and let us be able to use the whole area. Changing the location you fought was almost entirely for aesthetic reasons, which led to too much repetition in stages and characters. This game was not built to have lasting appeal. So, going back to the characters issue, take that already small roster and drop 2 more characters off of it. The Double Naked DTR and Fight Club Mako specifically. Both of these characters were originally supposed to be in the base game. I mean, they were even featured on the box art and art book for the collector's edition. Yet the game released and neither were available. We were told that we would get them later, as free DLC. Well, at least it's free. But this was a big problem for a game where people were already concerned about the roster size. Not to mention that the release of these two was pushed back, and back, and back. Originally, it was by the end of summer, then sometime in fall. Finally, for a game that released on July 25th, we got the DTR on October 1st, and Mako not until November 29th. By that point, at least my interest in the game had long since subsided. To be quite honest, the main distaste towards this game likely comes from how hyped people were going into it, and then the coupling of a very rough launch and severely missed expectations. The story missed the mark for Kill la Kill fans, and the lack of depth and variety in the gameplay missed the mark for fighting game fans. So in the end, I don't really know who this game was for. I sincerely hope that in the future we get a company that wants to take another shot at it. I love Kill la Kill to death, and I do feel the potential is there. Put Kenji Saito in charge, he clearly wants to and knows what is needed. For just a few hours of entertainment, and then a sense of longing for what it could have been, I have a hard time generally recommending people pick it up, even at its current price. Which sucks, because I really want to, because those couple hours are pretty fun. Thank you so much for watching, and a big thank you to my new patrons. I wanted to take a quick break from recipes and cooking, but after how well the last video went, I will definitely be returning to that very soon. Until next time, I'm CJ Picor, the Angry Avocado, and I still don't have a sign-off.